Hey guys, and welcome back to Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of Cortex. We have collected all 25 crystals. However, in order to fully complete the game, we need to collect all of the gems. But in order to collect all of the gems, we need to collect the relics. Now there are 30 relics in the game, and the remaining gems are all found in the hidden levels. But each hidden level requires 5 gems upwards for you to unlock them. So the first one requires 5 relics, then 10, it goes up to 25. As far as I'm aware, you don't need all 30 relics. The remaining 5, if you're struggling with 5 of them, well, they're an extra option. And the relics require you to go back into the levels and just do them really, really fast. You only need to worry about getting the sapphire relics. So relics come in 3 different colours. You have the sapphire relic, which is basically your participation award. There's really no excuse to not get it. There really isn't. They're incredibly easy to do, very generous. You don't need the speed shoes for them at all. They're incredibly easy to get. There is the gold relic, which is harder to do. Now in Crash 3, at least in original Crash 3, I'm not sure if Insane Trilogy maybe changed it up, you could get most of the gold relics without the speed shoes. It was hard, but it was doable. But then they were really easy to get if you did have the speed shoes. This game, I'm not so sure. I think you do need the speed shoes, but doing so then makes the gold relics really easy to get. But we can't just stop at that. No. There's a further one. There's the platinum relics. So relics were introduced in Crash Bandicoot 3. I'm still very conflicted on the process of actually having them there. It's like, on one hand, yes, I am being rewarded for doing them. I'm getting more, I'm unlocking more levels and getting more gems. But at the same time, I am just going through the same levels again, only doing it faster. To me, it does lean more on the padding side. Like, why do I have to go after all of these things just to get the last few gems? It does feel like padding. I mean, at the very least here, I'm not just gaining access to, the back of Hang 'em High. I'm getting 5 proper well, I've said 5 proper levels. 4 levels. And, well, we'll get to that. But the Platinum Relics were hard. They were an entirely different monster. In Crash 3, you just need the Sapphire Relic. If you get the Gold Relic, you'll get if you get all the Gold Relics, you get a special gem from Coco. She's holding you back a gem, but the gem isn't required for the final ending. But the Platinum Relics, they don't do anything, and they would continue not to do anything, all the way up until It's About Time, where some idiot decided, you know what, let's actually hide the final ending behind the Platinum Relics. Then they added the Purple Relics, and that was a whole different beast. I mean, Crash 3 had that similar thing. It had developer times in the credits. At least the American version. I think they got rid of the PAL version because of the 50 Hz thing. I didn't bother showcasing going after all of the relics when I did the Insane Trilogy. Mainly because I can't get all the Platinum Relics. Well, I can now. I recently did go back to the Insane Trilogy and got all the Platinum Relics. Never doing that in Stormy Ascent again. That must have taken me well over 10 hours. It was awful. Truly awful. But I have yet to do it for the original Crash 3, where it's all so much worse. I imagine it's so much worse anyway. But Wrath of Cortex, I've played this game so much, and even then, overall, the Platinum Relics are so much easier in this game. Like this level here, Tornado Alley. Every single time I play this level, I get the Platinum Relic by complete accident. I think there's only ever been one time where I have failed to get the Platinum Relic. I don't know how, but it's only ever been one time. Indeed, there are some levels here where I have never gotten anything else. Smoking the Bandicoot. Never ever gotten anything else other than the Platinum Relic. It is that generous. There are some which are hard. Arctic Antics even is actually one of the hardest Platinum Relics in the game. But when you realise about how you can move more efficiently by sliding on the ice, and this is the real good thing about with the Fruit Bazooka in this game, because you can aim behind you, you can go ahead of the clock, keep it on screen because it does have a habit of disappearing at random points, and then aim back, shoot at the clock, and then you will have saved yourself a couple seconds. Like, that's what you need to do to get to make the platinum runs a little bit easier, but for the most part they are very simple. This one, on the other hand, is a lot more difficult. Firstly, there's this thing. This thing is kind of luck. I don't know if it does always start in the same place when you restart the time trial. If so, you are going to have to wait a little bit at the beginning before you hit the clock. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting for that thing to go up and then waiting for it to come down. But yeah, overall, the time trials, the platinum relics in this game are so much easier. They are so much easier. And this level actually wants you to make use of some shortcuts. There's one area that would normally be filled to the brim with nitro boxes, but it's actually all the nitro boxes are replaced with time trial crates. So the time crates, they are numbered 1 to 3, or 1, 2, 3. I guess that still works. But when you break it, depending on the number on the box, that's how many seconds it will be paused for. And that's what you're going to do. You want to try and break every single time crate in order to pause the clock for as long as you can. It isn't just a simple matter of get to the end within this amount of time. You have to freeze the timer. But yeah, the time for this one is pretty tight. 25 seconds. Luckily I have Aku Aku, and unlike Crash 3... See, that's where it's going to stop. Just barely made this one. Unlike other Crash games, you actually keep Aku Aku when you hit the clock. Like in Crash 3, you could have a level 2 Aku Aku. You hit that clock, Aku Aku's gone. But in this game, you actually do keep him, which can be a bit of an advantage. You could, like, there's an Aku Aku crate quite early on in Arctic Antics. If you hit the time trial, you can break that box, restart, break the box again, restart, and then you have invincibility. So you can cheat your way a little bit. It's not going to do much because of the invincibility in this game isn't very good. But you know, it's there. You can do that if you want. Unlike the previous games, you don't need to worry about trying to keep a hold of Aku Aku because the invincibility doesn't speed you up in any way. What I often find when I'm doing time trials in Crash Bandicoot is my thumb tends to slide off the analog stick all the time. I don't know why. Only when I'm doing time trial mode. But it's all about the speed shoes here. So you need to hold down the R2 button, or whatever console you're playing this on, and then you're going to run faster. And it is so much better here. The problem I have with Crash Bandicoot 3's speed shoes is, yes, it makes Crash run faster, but it also makes him turn faster. And the end result is, and people probably wouldn't like me saying this, but I genuinely find it is the case, it's like controlling characters in Sonic 06. It really is that precise. And I hate it. I really do hate it. But that isn't a problem here. Crash controls perfectly fine. Sometimes he does tend to stop in place when you're trying to turn around, but that doesn't last very long at all. I question how he's running faster, because last I checked, aren't you supposed to make your back straight to go faster? Crash is bending forwards. Isn't that the opposite of what you're supposed to do? But yeah, on top of just having better controls in general, the speed shoes here are so much better. I mean, the whole precise turning thing is not a problem in the Insane Trilogy. I can do that perfectly fine in Crash 2 and Crash 3. But on the original Crash 3, no, it was horrible. And, you know, you've had to absolutely know the level like the back of your hand, whatever that means. I'm looking at the back of my hand now, and yep, nothing special. You had to know the level off by heart. Where's the best place? Where should you jump or where should you double jump? Where should you Death Tornado spin to glide through the air? What corners do you cut? And make sure that you break every single time trial box in the game. But Insane Trilogy, it's a little bit better. It did vary from level to level because they added the relics into Crash 1 and 2. Crash 2 isn't too bad, and they do give you the speed shoes for that one, but still the levels aren't really designed for it. Levels like Road to Ruin and Ruination, really not designed for it. Spaced Out and Piston It Away, not designed for it. So some levels were still extremely difficult, but Crash 1 was not designed to go fast in. It's designed to take your time, to be patient, and it shows. Not only do you not get the speed shoes, but so many of those levels were ridiculously hard to do. I was really annoyed with Stormy Ascent actually, because not Stormy Ascent, Slippery Climb. I managed to do the whole level without dying on my first go, and I just missed the Platinum Relic time by less than a second, and then all the deaths start happening. Because of course they do. But yeah, plenty of levels in Crash 1 gave me a hard time. Native Fortress. The lab. You have to make sure you start at a very specific time so you can walk through the electric gates. It's a very, very precise one, that one. It was ridiculous how they thought that was okay. Fumbling in the Dark was another very difficult one. Lights Out wasn't too bad. For one thing, you can take the gem path and you can actually finish the level a little bit faster. They didn't take that into account. So if you've got the yellow gem, you can do that. Sunset Vista, obviously, because it's so ridiculously long. It's going to have all of the usual issues. But then you got levels like the Warthog levels, you know, they're really not that hard at all because you automatically go at a set speed. Somehow you can still fail it. Fail the platinum. I don't know how you do that, but besides, even if you miss, even if you break every single box, I did end up with a gold relic on my first try, and I don't know how I did that. When you're moving at a set speed and you break every box, how do you do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I also don't get why it only gives you 3 letters to use. I don't know what the point of that is. So I'm just putting in random stuff. If you don't put anything, you just called a question mark. There I was Q. I'm John Delancey, or whatever his name is, from Star Trek. Or the character from James Bond, whichever you want. Alright, 5 levels down. Now for the Wawa levels. I'm just going to do them in set order this time. Nothing. We're not going to be going into random levels. There's 1 through to 25. And then we'll make our way over to the bonus room. But yeah, there's really not much else to say. We've seen all of this before. Again, it is padding. I don't like that they did bring it back for this game. Easier it may be. I'm just not a fan of the idea of time trials. At least when I'm redoing it. If this was completely optional, then okay. Of course, I would still kind of want to have... That's the difficult bit. It's like you want it to be optional, but you also want to be rewarded for doing it. And it's like, what do you do instead? What could be the reward for going after all of the relics? Or even more so, all of the platinum relics. Crash 3 gave you that extra gem. Not that it meant anything. But I still had to go after all of the relics just to get the final ending. Just to get those last few gems. And I still have to do that here as well. I'm not sure if the Game Boy Advance games require you to do it. I imagine they would. And then It's About Time is It's About Time. That's a whole other beast entirely. Oh, those insanely perfect relics. See, I missed that crate, but I'm still gonna make this. But if the thing chasing you breaks the time crate, as with other crates, you won't get what's inside, so it won't freeze the timer. Barely avoided going into that pit. And just about avoided those nitro crates. Why are these rhinos chasing after me? What is it? Why is it the herbivorous animals like to chase after Crash? We're being chased by rhinos. We get chased by a triceratops. They won't have any desire to eat him, so why are they chasing after me? At least with a polar bear it makes sense. I get why he's after me. He wants to eat me. Crash, why do you struggle to get on so well with all of the herbivorous animals? Look at this long, needlessly long corridor just to get to the end. Here's some very ugly looking trees. Like, it looks like the trees are either made out of durians. Which I don't like because it reminds me of durians from Super Mario Sunshine, and I don't want to be reminded of durians from Super Mario Sunshine. Oh, that Rico Harbor mission. Just to get Yoshi. Ugh. It was horrible. It's horrible. And weirdly, the Madagascar video game, which was made by Toys for Bob, but they really like durians in those games. So I'm surprised there's no durians in Crash Bandicoot 4. The other one, not this one. I still hate that it's called Crash Bandicoot 4. It's so picky, I know, but I hate it because it just isn't the fourth game. Going back or not to be before Crash 3, after Crash 3, I still hate it. I mean, at least it is resetting stuff. It's not like, say, Kingdom Hearts, where each game is connected to each other, but for some reason, what's like the 8th game in the series or whatever it is the one that's called Kingdom Hearts 3. Or even Kingdom Hearts 2 is the 3rd game. Right, the scuba diving levels. Prepare your thumbs for this. Because not only do you need to be constantly tapping the X button to dart forward, you also need to be constantly tapping the square button to perform the Death Tornado. Which I think is faster than just standard dashing. So I don't think you can perform the Death Tornado underwater in Crash 3, but you can do it here. And it's really cool. Like, it's great. It gets you a lot of speed. You're at the expense of control a little bit, but, you know, that's fine. It still controls well enough. But yeah, stuff like this, I'm just darting forwards. Also, the spin looks really weird underwater, and that's saying something because it already looks weird. Especially if you could find like a still image of the model of Crash spinning. Honestly, if you want to save time there, just spin into the TNT. Crash, get off the crate. It's like, this isn't supposed to be Crash 3 where I get stuck on everything. And now it all becomes so much worse. Get out of my way! See how these things are just hiding behind all of these objects that obscure your view. It's like, why? Why would you do that? I mean, I could ask that for many things about this submarine in general. Why would you do that? Why would you create this monstrosity? How much does this monstrosity cost? $82,000! This monstrosity costs $82,000? What is even the point of having the thing face the screen? It just means it takes longer to turn around. But you actually do, you actually don't need to hit that switch box. The nitro crate is, hold on, yeah, the nitro crates and the time boxes are automatically there. Ow. Watch where you going, you stupid piranha shark, because I still don't know what it is. Which, watch where you're going, JJ the jet plane. Ow. Honestly, it's the guys with the harpoons that I always get terrified about because I never know when they're actually going to fire. That was close. So I don't know if they have to be on screen a certain amount of time or they can attack you from off screen. I'm never sure. I think they have to visibly be on screen, or at least very close to being on screen for them to fire. Yes, indeed. Why? 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 I agree. So yeah, the underwater levels can be some of the more annoying ones. I haven't gotten to Coral Canyon yet. I've yet to record Coral Canyon. But really, again, it's just the submarine stuff. The scuba diving is perfectly fine. Really, when you get to the scuba diving stuff on Coral Canyon, there are sections that have so many time boxes that it just becomes a non-issue. Also, for some reason, the image for Banzai Bonsai when you're in the warp room actually does show it in time trial mode. You can see there's a time box there. Okay, time for our first Coco mission for a time trial. Banzai Bonsai is a level that I used to find this the hardest one. Nowadays it's not too bad, but I did always used to find this one to be the most difficult. Again, it doesn't help that Coco doesn't get a good chunk of the power-ups. She gets the speed shoes. But that's really it, because again, even though she's the one that picks up the super belly flop, she gets a spinning animation, but I don't think it actually increases the range in any way. But there's quite a bit of precise platforming. It actually adds a few additional boxes. Like when I'm jumping over like those little cuboid turquoise platform things, whatever they are, those boxes aren't there during regular gameplay. It actually adds boxes rather than replaces them. And I think that's the only level in the game that does that. And I want to know what that thing over in the background is. It looks like a mask. But it isn't based off of any of the masks in this game. That was close. Bounce off of that. You can... Oh, I just missed. You can spin enemies into the time boxes. Oh, look, there's more of them. You can spin enemies into the time boxes, but yeah, the timer does still stop if you do that. It doesn't really make any difference because it just means that, well, where you could have gotten the time to pause at this point of the level, you've just done it earlier. Which means that it's not going to be paused for this part of the level instead. So it really doesn't make any difference. It can just look like it for a bit, but in the end it's not going to make any difference. Again, feel free to sacrifice Aku Aku whenever you feel necessary. You can actually do that here, and there's so many Aku Aku crates anyway, that if you have him available and you feel like you want to sacrifice him, like I did just then with that Nitro crate. He can be useful for certain areas, as we saw just then, but for the most part, it's not really necessary. 2 more levels left to go, and the thing to remember with the flying levels is, in Crash 3, Bye Bye Blimps and other level, I can never remember the other plane level, the one where you're shooting down, Mad Bombers, that's it. You didn't have time boxes in those levels, you just had to do it as fast as you can. And Mad Bombers was an absolute pain to get the Platinum Relic in. You have to be very, very precise with where you go. I don't think Rings of Power had... I can't remember if Rings of Power had any or not. I don't think it did. It was always just about spinning when you're going through the hoops to speed yourself up. But for the 3 flying levels that we have here, Tornado Alley, That Sinking Feeling, and Crash Droids, you are going to want to grab at least some of the time trial crates. I think they are all 3-second ones though, at least in this level I think they're all 3 seconds. Because it is also going to waste your time trying to get them, because you can't exactly shoot anything else. But yeah, again, this one, very easy to do. It's actually the biggest amount of time to beat for the Sapphire. Like, I think it was, what, 3 minutes 30 seconds? That is absolutely no issue whatsoever, even if you don't break any crates. No, I think that one was a 2, actually. I couldn't see it. Yeah, otherwise, this level still isn't really that big of an issue. I'll probably stick on screen what the required platinum times are for each level. Unlike Crash 3 though, I don't think there was any changes between PAL version and not PAL version. Despite the 50 Hz, I don't think there's any difference. I really like within the relics and everything really glow when you're on this screen. But then when you go to the warp room, they look so boring. Especially the gold relic. The gold relic looks really pretty when you get it on the at that screen there. But at the moment it's on the pedestal, whatever you call it. It's a really ugly colour. It's such a shame, it ruins it. Like, it looks so boring now. It's lost the aura, and I like the aura. But this is our final Platinum Relic for today's part. And again, not too bad. Just the biggest issue with this one is the name of the freaking level. H2O no. I hate it. I hate it so much. For the longest time, I never even understood it. It was only fairly recently like, oh, I get it. The main things you've got to watch out for here are, well, the usual stuff. The nitro crates, these things, and those blue ball-like fish that come out of nowhere. And that lionfish. That lionfish hides in the seaweed. For the most part, you can go under the mines, even though it looks like you're not given much chance. But as long as you are in the right position, you can. Like, usually I get hit by that one. But I just narrowly managed to avoid it. I think that's the first time I've ever managed to get underneath that one. Yeah, remember to keep firing there, because they do hide one of those harpoon divers in the seaweed. But now we can proceed on foot, which is much easier to do. Though, I still get nervous doing this. See how much easier that is to get to now we have a double jump? I don't need to do a really precise belly flop, and it makes the bonus room, you know, doable without having to make use of that slide jump. I really don't know who thought that was a good idea. Why did they put those crates up there? It was such a stupid decision. It's the only level where something like that happens. Sadly, I did get hurt in the underwater part, so I couldn't make myself invincible. You know, after Crash 4 and doing the Insane Trilogy, that was, this was so much better. Again, the likes Crash 1, you got levels like the Lab, Generator Room, Native Fortress, Stormy Ascent. Oh, that was the worst one. Fumbling in the Dark. Road to Nowhere. The High Road didn't give me that much issue, but Road to Nowhere did. Crash 2, you got levels like Snowbiz and Snowgo were both pretty tricky. Cold Hard Crash, Piston It Away, Spaced Out, Road to Ruin, Unbearable. They were all horrible to go through because they just weren't designed for it. Was it Unbearable or was it Crash Crush? Or it might be both, I'm not sure. Crash 3 still has quite a few difficult ones here and there. Especially Future Tense now, we have that as well. But nothing with Stormy Ascent. Alright, well next up we're going into the Fire Chamber and the Air Chamber, so I will see you guys next time.